Hey, everybody, it's Longhorn Confidential for Tuesday, August 26th. I'm Danny Davis with the Austin American-Statesman. We're back, and we're back with Cedric Golden, Thomas Jones, David Eckert, and it is football season. I hear there's a big game coming up this weekend in Columbus, Texas, Ohio State, number one versus number three, or number one versus number two, depending on what poll you subscribe to. But noon on Fox, 11 Central Time. Hopefully, if you got YouTube TV, you can still watch the game, but that's another story for a different day. But let's jump right into it. Obviously, the story of the day, if you're not watching this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce news, it's Arch Manning. This is Arch's first big road start. He's a new starting quarterback at Texas. We've been kind of waiting for this moment for about 3 years, and it's finally here as he heads into this big matchup against the defending champs. Said, we'll start with you. What does success mean for Arch Manning in this first start? What would a successful Saturday look like for Arch?
Get the dub. Get the dub. You get the win, and then the stats are going to follow later. I think he's going to have some growing pains this year. And why not have some growing pains in Columbus? He might serve up a pick or two, but if the Longhorns win the game, I'm not worried about Arch Manning's stat line. I'm not worried about um, anything else. He's got to be healthy, and they got to get the win. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Arch Manning is going to flash, but it wouldn't surprise me if the defense took center stage or one of those very good running backs. But for Arch Manning, if he can limit the turnovers, stay healthy, and get a win, that is the ultimate good day for Mr. Manning.
EJ, in your eyes, what does a successful Saturday at the shoe look like?
I'm going to agree with said. I think Arch, despite all the hype and despite the name, despite everything, he doesn't need to set the world on fire. Go 13 to 21 for 180 yards, no turnovers. I mean, your running game and your defense can win this. I think that's a formula for a Texas win. If they were to come out of Columbus with a win, Arch just needs to avoid those turnovers. We remember Quinn Ewers had two last year in that CFP semifinal. That's probably the difference in the game. Arch needs to play clean football. Don't make that big mistake.
How about you?
Yeah, I think um, when you think about the way that Arch plays football, right? Like, can you play that explosive brand of football in a way that does not give the ball away? That to me is the question. And you obviously Ohio State again, first time starter, another just uh, talented quarterback in Julian saying that we're gonna just kind of see how it goes with. So if you can just limit the mistakes, and by that really I mean turnovers. I think naturally by the way that he plays, the rest of the stats will follow. I don't think, to me, Arch does not strike me as a guy who's going to go out there and throw for 140, very often. I just think the way he plays the game is it's too explosive. So I think he's going to be a little bit boom or bust. So just don't give the ball away if you're Arch, and I think the rest will come.
I think Texas needs to win in order for this to be successful for Arch. I mean, this is the defending national champions. It's not like they're playing, some directional school or Texas State or some school that doesn't really isn't expected to like contend for a national championship. I just think Arch needs to look competent. I think he needs to look like he can run this offense. Quinn's first start on the road was terrible. You go down the line. I think of the last 12 starting quarterbacks at Texas, they split their first start. So as long as it's not Gerard Hurd against TCU, it's not the end of the world. Sam Ehlinger went to USC, which was a top five team for his first start. Took USC to the brink, and that ended up being fine. So I don't think necessarily Arch has to win. I just think he needs to look competent, and if the fans aren't freaking out at the end of the game and thinking that we made a mistake and we've spent too much time hyping this guy up, I think it's a successful Saturday. If they win, obviously, you know we're going to have nothing but to talk about Arch going forward. But I think as long as he looks confident and kind of directs this offense to what we think he can do, I think it's a successful Saturday. But Arch will not be the only first-time starter. He's not necessarily a first-time starter, but you know what I'm saying. First time actually being named the
Yeah.
starter of this team. But of the other guys on this offense are kind of new, the newcomers, the guys who are kind of transitioning into that starting role. Who needs to have the most success this season for Texas to have success and kind of chase that national championship? Eck, we'll go back to you for that one.
Yeah, I think the obvious one, and again, he's kind of like Arch. I think he did start a couple games last year, but I mean, it's Ryan Wingo, right? I mean, do you have the? I think Texas still has to answer the question on this team. Do you have an elite wide receiver for Arch to go play with? And I think that's going to be if it's going to be somebody, I think it's going to be him. So I think it's really important that he kind of takes that step and is the alpha that he has the tools to be.
But you're on mute. Rookie mistake.
I wasn't saying anything, guys. That was just the first words. Trevor Gooseby, left tackle. You got to protect the blind side of the most important player in America, the most hyped player in America. If Trevor Gooseby doesn't hold his water, I don't know that Arch makes it through the season. You got to protect. And if he can protect Arch, and if Arch can have that confidence knowing that his back is God, and then he's going to put up some numbers and they're going to be fine. There are a lot of important pieces to the success of this team. But if his bodyguard is asleep at the wheel, things could go south. So I think Trevor Gooseby, who's shown us he's capable, but that was only in a pinch. He's got to be good for the whole year for the Longhorns to be successful on offense.
DJ, who'd you pick?
I'm kind of going with Seth. I think the offensive line really is the key, but Brandon Baker, the right tackle, the sophomore who really, unlike Gooseby, Baker doesn't have much playing time at all. Um, Ryan Day and Ohio State, they're the defending champs for a reason. They're really good. They're really good at coaching. They're going to pick out the weak point on that Texas offensive line. It's probably going to be at right tackle with Baker just because he's unproven. They're going to do everything they can to really make that a mismatch for the Ohio State defense. And Baker's going to have to be up to the task, you know. They can't afford to get exposed on the right side of that line. I think he's going to be very important for this game.
I'm thinking about cheating and going with Colin Simmons or Derek Williams because I don't think either of them have ever technically started a game. But I think that's cheating a little bit. If I'm going to mention Colin Simmons because we know exactly what he can do. But I'm with Eck. I think Ryan Wingo. We kind of know what DeAndre Moore is going to be with this offense. We expect him to have a good season, but Ryan Wingo needs to become that go-to guy for Arch, and expect them to have gotten some reps together. Last year, kind of running behind the ones, but Texas kind of turns over its receiving core every year. At least it has kind of the last few years, and this is Ryan's time to shine. And I guess Texas has 2 years with him, but it's I would pick Ryan Wingo for my pick, but. We're all going to be there this weekend. We all get to go head up to the shoe. I guess Sed probably went there in 2005, but this will be the first trip for the three of us. When we talked to CDC on Monday, he said that despite the SEC going to 9 conference games, he still envisions Texas still picking these, trying to schedule these marquee matchups, even though it may be, it may add a loss to their schedule. But with the expanding playoffs, the Texas brand, it's still important that they schedule these games. So with that in mind, said we'll go with you as the vet here, who's seen Texas play a lot of teams. Who's kind of like your dream matchup now that we kind of checked off Ohio State, checked off Michigan? Who would you love to see Texas play, or what stadium would you love to go visit?
They've played them 5 times all time, but I would love to see them get back busy with USC.
Yeah.
USC is kind of a sleeping giant. Mr. Eckert and I would love to go to LA. I can show him some sights. I can take him to Watts. Um, I just think that it was the greatest football game I ever saw to end the '05 season. 41-38 was just an amazing game. And then when Sam Ellinger came in as a freshman and took you mentioned it, Daniel, took the Heisman Trophy winner, Sam Darnold and company to overtime. And if the defense holds up, Texas wins that game, but they lose 27-24. So they've had some really good games in the past, and it'd be nice to see them do a little home and home um, because of the history that they have put together with that great game in '05. So I would go with USC.
DJ, who are you picking?
Messing with David, straight out of Scranton, David. I like USC too, but I'm gonna go kind of boring. But just give me any of those old Southwest Conference rivals, man. Give me a Texas Tech, give me a TCU, even give me a Baylor. I like that ode to Texas's long history. I would love to see Texas play Tech, even though I don't particularly want to go to Lubbock again.
What's wrong with
Um,
Lubbock?
I would love to see some of those really ancient rivalries renewed on a regular basis. Throw a bone to the old timers, man. Just get TCU, Baylor, Tech, even a U of H every now and then.
You think Brett Yormark wants them to play Texas Tech? What do you think his thoughts are on that one?
I think Texas cares a whiff what Brett Yormark thinks about.
Dave, I wish you had saw that Big 12 title game and they
Oh, I
booed
can only
Yormark out of the stadium. I mean, Sark was like, "Hey, hey, calm down," but Sark was beaming on the inside, and I know CDC was laughing.
Heck, if I'm not allowed to pick Montana, I'm not gonna let you pick Penn State. But what's your pick?
I was gonna say the Montana Grizzlies, Danny. Yeah.
There you go.
Now we wish he was muted.
How about Oregon? I think Oregon would be
About
fun.
Oregon, nice.
Yeah, I think that looks like a really good place to go see a game, and obviously Dan Lanning's got them humming, and there have been some interesting recruiting battles between Sark and Lanning too in recent years. I just think that would be a fun one.
In fact, when Texas went out to Oregon in '47 with Bobby Lane, that's the first time they ever went on a plane for a flight. So, since you picked Oregon, I'll step off the Ducks, and I'll actually go Florida State. Texas has never played Florida State, which is something that always surprises me. And Florida State kind of up and down. Some years they're really good, sometimes they're not as competitive. But that's a team that's won a title a lot more recently than Texas, and has that kind of historic. There's a lot of history with that program. So I'd like to see those two programs get together. But before we get out of
We could go to Publix, Daniel, before the game
here, I'll
and
take a
get the
Jameis with me.
Jameis Winston crab leg special at Publix. It'd be
That's a
great.
pass for me. Um, Before we get out of here, we got to get some predictions before we all jump off here. So, Seth, we'll start with you, then go TJ and Eck. Just quick prediction. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
Prediction, pain. 27-24 Beavos. Mason Shipley splits those uprights with a minute to go from 38 yards, and the Texas Longhorns open up with a dub. 1-0, and the Arch Manning hype train gets even bigger. Horns by 3.
Yeah.
I'm going Ohio State 20-17 is my pick. I think it'll be low scoring. I think it'll come down to who does the little things right and who turns the ball over less frequently.
So Arch is going to be more bust than boom.
Hey, hey, I didn't
Well,
say
you said that. I didn't. I'm just saying it. Came up
that.
short. He produced 17 points. That means it's a bust in the first game.
Hey, maybe he throws for 300 yards, but there's a couple red zone picks said. Does that is that
That's
is
a
that better
bust.
for you?
Red
Yeah,
zone
yeah,
picks.
yeah,
That's a bust.
yeah.
That's a bust.
I
Don't
agree.
say red zone around Sark. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's a bust.
go. I'm going to go Texas 21-20. I think I agree with you guys. It'll be low scoring. I think the over-under is 47.5 as of today, Tuesday. I think Texas ekes it out. I think they get enough stops in the red zone, keep Ohio State out of the end zone. I think that's the difference in the game.
Well, I'm glad Eck picked Ohio State, so I don't have to because I was kind of worried that I was going to have to mix it up a little bit. But I'll go. I do think Texas wins this game. I think Texas is the better team, has more talent. Let's not forget Ohio State has a brand new starter too, as talented as Julian Sand is. So there's going to be some growing pains on that end as they try to recover. I think they lost 14 to the draft. So this is not the same Ohio State team. This is not the same Texas team. But I just think Texas has just a little bit more talent, and I don't think they're going to be phased by going to go play at Ohio Stadium. That's what happens when you go and play at Michigan. You go play at A&M. You go play at Alabama in the last few years. I don't think they're going to be phased by the environment. Although I expect it to be pretty loud and the Ohio State fans to be very in a celebratory mood as they open up another season after they won the title last year. But yeah, I'll go Texas. I don't pick scores because for who for what, but I'll go with the Longhorns. But that's gonna do it for
Well,
us. That's going to do it for us here on the Longhorn Confidential podcast. Statesman.com throughout the week. We'll have plenty of content. Plenty of content this weekend. And check back with us later on YouTube because we're going to do something a little different this year. We're going to be interviewing, a opposing beat writer to kind of get the intel on Ohio State throughout the season or whoever Texas is facing that week. And the On Second Thought podcast, Sed and Kirk are back doing their thing. Sed, do you want to give us a tease for this week? Because I'm sure you guys have a big guest lined up.
it's not lined up yet, but it's going to be an Ohio State beat writer, I believe. It's not the one you're going to have. Our guy's way older than the guy you're interviewing. So if he's still alive by Thursday, we're going to have him on the podcast.
Lots of
And if
Buckeye
Kirk's still
talk.
alive, let me get that because he's younger than Kirk.
So check out statesman.com, our YouTube page, all that stuff. We appreciate you listening to us wherever you get your podcasts, watching us on YouTube or statesman.com. We'll see you all in Columbus, and thanks for watching. Deuces.